Right, we are back at it with SCP-021. Let's go. Item number SCP-021, object class safe, simple containment procedure. SCP-021 is an obligate parasite of the human body. Containment, therefore, is no more difficult than containing an adult. The human male cell will suffice. Item is currently housed in detention cell 217-A on subject D13. Not only D-class personnel are eligible for hosting SCP-021 as long as the given subject survives as a host for SCP-021. He is exempt from normal monthly terminations of Class D personnel. A description: SCP-021 takes the form of a large and elaborate tattoo of serpentine writing in the Oriental style, covering approximately 0.8 square meters of skin. This tattoo is fully animate within the confines of the host skin, behaves largely as a normal animal, but albeit in only 2 dimensions. The tattoo's movement causes constant pain to its host, comparable and similar in character to simultaneous tattooing and tattoo removal on a large scale. The organism tends to spend most of its time on and near the toe, so SCP-021 displays no intelligence beyond basic pattern of feeding and locomotion, although actually measuring the intelligence of 2-dimensional life forms has proven impossible thus far. SCP-021 appears to be exclusively on pigments in the host skin. This can include melanin, in which case the subject appears to be suffering from vitiligo. However, the organism shows a marked preference for other tattoos and will seek out and devour these will resulting to natural pigments. It should be noted that the feeding process itself, beyond the sensation of movement, is painless. Normal tattooing simply vanishes as it is eaten. The organism maintains a constant size and no explorations have been observed. The organism is incapable of clearing over 0.6 square meters of skin per hour. One may feed SCP-021 by quickly tattooing fruits or small animals on the host. SCP-021 can be transferred between hosts by various forms of physical contact with differing rates of success. In the case of a successful transfer, the organism swims from one person to another. Sexual intercourse appears to be the most reliable method of transfer, with a 93% rate of transmission. However, due to the severe pain involved, this is less than ideal. Contact between 2 open wounds is generally preferable. Transfer is more complicated in deceased subjects, though not unreasonably so. The organism suffers no ill effects from the death of its host and continues to seem taken. Transmission between species is unknown. Previous tests suggest that it to be either impossible or exceedingly rare. SCP-021 does confer some benefits to its host. Tattoo has been proven to accelerate the release and reuptake of epinephrine and decrease lactic build-up, providing boosts of strength, confidence, and pain tolerance in stressful situations, and reducing the usual after effects of weakness and fatigue. In addition, the tattoo seems to have some beneficial effects on the host immune system. Aggression profiles in the host are generally higher than average, although whether this is a direct effect of the tattoo or simply a reaction to the constant pain remains to be seen. The symbiotic relationship is usually limited by how long the host can tolerate pain in everyday life. This can culminate in suicide in a number of subjects. In rare cases, hosts have also fallen victim to fatal skin infections. SCP-021's origin and nature are a mystery, tracing its transmission from host. The host is hardly feasible within the confines of secrecy, and the organism could well be hundreds of years old, if not more. Nevertheless, SCP-021's captivity is one of the longest in the Foundation's history, and nearly dates 20 years, and has been very educational thus. But our current research focuses mainly on observing the characteristics of life in 2 dimensions. SCP-022! Also, in case I didn't say, in the last one, I don't remember, and the last one was an object class safe. Item number SCP-022 alternate class leads with special containment procedures. The valve door has been installed following incident 022-827 to seal SCP-022. It is to remain locked at all times, the sole exception being the appearance of an instance of SCP-022-1. The original door to SCP-022 was destroyed during incident 022-827, with attempts at a replacement being met with failure. Security cameras have been installed to monitor for instance of SCP-002-1. The event that an instance of SCP-002-1 appears, automated systems should incinerate at the moment it leaves SCP-022. At this point, the vault door may be unlocked to admit cleanup crews. Should the automated systems fail to destroy the instance of SCP-022-1, response teams are cleared to enter and neutralize. Under no circumstances may any living human enter SCP-022 except at the order of Class 4 personnel for testing purposes, and Class 4 may also order instances of SCP-022-1 to be captured and held. However, they may not be removed from SCP-022 containment facility. Description: SCP-022 is a morgue in the basement of Redacted Hospital in Great Britain until 1980. Redacted, there were no reports of normal occurrences within the morgue. Reports of strange activity were first received in November of 1980. Redacted. The area was soon quarantined by the Foundation, with an official story being released that the entire building had been condemned. The reason for the sudden manifestation of its strange properties remains under investigation. Periodically, a random door within the morgue room will open to reveal a cadaver under a covered sheet. After approximately 6 minutes open, the cadaver will animate and attempt to leave the morgue. At this point, the cadaver is given the designation SCP-022-1. In some cases, the cadaver will be too damaged to decompose to successfully exit SCP-022 or even rise from the table it lies on. In this case, SCP-022-1 will typically struggle and twitch on the table until expiration occurs. Should an instance of SCP-022-1 expire while remaining on the side of the table, the table slides back into the door, which then shuts. Accordingly, the scent of burnt tissue is evident immediately following such an event. The energy source of the same instance as SCP-022-1 is currently unknown. Instances do not breathe, eat, or sleep, and their bodies produce no heat. Analysis of SCP-022-1 following expiration has discovered no abnormal organs or chemicals present. They appear to be fully human cadavers. Instances also possess physical strength that exceeds that of normal humans. Though direct testing has been proven problematic, research has made the strength increase to be approximately 500 and 112 pounds of lifting force, greater than what one would expect of a human body of sharing a similar condition. Analysis is underway to determine if this effect is connected to the unknown power source or if it is an entirely separate phenomenon. While body parts severed from SCP-022-1, the portion with the greatest mass retains its effect. All other pieces remain inert. Destruction of the head or brain does not neutralize SCP-022-1. Instead, the lower torso and limbs remain complete tissue destruction appears to be the only method of successfully terminating the instance of SCP-022-1, left alone. Instances of SCP-022-1 will simply expire, all motion ceases, and they appear to become normal cadavers again. The amount of time this takes depends on how damaged the body is and the rate of decomposition. It can take anywhere between 2 days and 2 weeks. Investigation has revealed that the bodies acting as SCP-022-1 match the description of cadaver was reported to have been stolen from morgues across the country. The mechanism for this transfer is currently being researched. Any new matter to SCP-022 is thus far proven impossible. Any object that enters SCP-022 disappears shortly after passing through the door, leaving no traces, including an animal object and biological specimens. See Addendum 022-001 and 022-002. So long as an instance of SCP-022-1 possesses a functioning mouth, tongue, and trachea, it was able to communicate fully with researchers. See log 022-751 for details. Addendum 022-01. This request has been submitted to create a new entrance to SCP-022 by removing a portion of the south wall crust pending approval. Addendum 022-002. A pile of matter was discovered on the floor of the room directly above SCP-02. To contain all matter that had been sent into SCP-022 with the exception of humans. All material appeared broken and worn down. Metallic components were covered in large amounts of rust, with biological parts being in various stages of decomposition. Testing revealed that the time between inserting an object into SCP-022 and reappearing above to be precisely 183 seconds. Humans who enter, however, do not appear in said file. Instead, humans appear to have integrated into the morgue and melee to animate as instances of 022-1. Right, let's go on to the Black Shark. Item numbers. SCP-023 Object Class Euclid. SCP-023 is to be contained in a walled-off intersection of 2 corridors at site redacted with at least 3 meters of space in each direction, and false doors at 3 of the 4 ends in addition to the real door. Security cameras will be placed and maintained above all 4 doors. At all times, SCP-023's eye sockets are to be filled with spherical inserts made of hard rubber iron. Her class will be replaced as they degrade, degrading when wanted by measuring the brightness of the burning factor observed by security. Such a brightness greater than 12 candela requires that the inserts be replaced within 12 hours. Eye inserts are only to be replaced individually and only after the sun is completely set. Personnel are not to look directly into the eye sockets of SCP-023 at any time. Following incident 023-27, all collective services, including displays, monitors, and aware of any sort, are not permitted within 30 meters of SCP-023's. So this includes monitors linked to security cameras when it's enclosed. Security personnel posted at checkpoints outside both corridors will enforce and adhere to this measure. Examination involving SCP-023 has been suspended indefinitely. SCP-023 is a large, sexless, shaggy canine, 1.5 meters, that was shouldered with black For see incident report 023-26, anytime an individual will make eye contact with SCP-023, either that person or a member of their immediate family will die exactly 1 year after eye contact is broken. Such incident happens with selection is incomplete due to a moratorium on experiments, with the available data suggests that having a larger immediate family lessens the chance of the individual making eye contact himself dying, and neither a pattern or preference in victim types have been found. This may indicate that SCP-023's victim is designated entirely at random, but it is unknown whether this selection occurs at the beginning or at the end of the 1 year time period. Attempts to terminate an individual who has made eye contact with SCP-023 and their entire immediate family before the 1 year time period to then the data expunged. Autopsies of individuals killed by SCP-023's effects show that while outwardly appearing unharmed, their remains have been filled in with highly compacted ash, including but not limited to organ systems of the circulatory system, muscle tissues, bones and brain tissues, universally show signs of exposure to temperatures above redacted degrees Celsius centigrade. Evil contained in a setting that at least superficially resembles a crust, whereas SCP-023 will phase through walls to get to the nearest suitable location, incinerating all materials it passes. The SCP-023 was first brought to the Foundation's attention when it attacked a church and redacted while it was in second killing redacted civilians directly and redacted as a result of eye contact. Following retrieval of SCP-023 Class B amnestics were administered to all witnesses and surviving victims. The incident was covered up as a case of arson. Addendum 023-001 SCP-023 broke containment on redacted by passing through its cell wall. Incident 023-01 SCP-023 was later discovered at the intersection of two corridors elsewhere, where on-site redacted noted SCP-023 similarity to a redacted. Special containment procedures for SCP-023 updated assistant researcher redacted issued direct remand for negligence. Addendum 023-002 SCP-023 is responsible for the deaths of redacted personnel and redacted civilians since it was first brought into containment on 10/12 redacted 94. Addendum 023-003 request for reclassification to key to pending. Addendum 023-004 due to both anomalies focusing on specific geographic spaces, their destructive capabilities and canine appearance, it is possible that SCP-1111-1 may be a variant of the same phenomenon observed in SCP-023 or Further investigation into the origin of both anomalies is ongoing due to the inability to capture SCP-1111-1 for study. Investigations are currently focused on SCP-023. Item number SCP-024 object class equals special containment procedure. Due to its nature, SCP-024 cannot be moved to a secure location, so security measures must be placed on site to conceal its location. 5 identical organ replicas have been erected around SCP-024. A tight security perimeter must be maintained around SCP-024's compound at all times, with separate security teams guarding SCP-024 and its replicas. None of the security teams except the team leaders will be informed of the location of SCP-024. SCP-024 must be secured with magnetically sealed blast doors and reinforced armored walls to prevent unauthorized entry. Under no circumstances can any security or research personnel enter SCP-024. Only declassed personnel are allowed and trained strictly for research purposes only. All researchers are to observe an experiment with SCP-024 from the remote observation lab. Any personnel attempting to leave the remote observation lab or enter SCP-024 without prior approval from a Level 4 researcher must be immediately apprehended with termination authorized. Should containment be breached or SCP-024's true nature compromised, and the entire compound must be destroyed via specialized demolition charges planted throughout the entire compound. Description: SCP-024 is an abandoned soundstage that was once owned by redacted. However, SCP-024 itself has been abandoned since 19redacted and is unknown whether its special properties manifested before or after its abandonment. SCP-024 is located in the heart of redacted and was initially discovered once when one group of teenagers broke into the abandoned compound. The testimony of the lone winner when she turned herself into the police was enough to have the Foundation assets mobilized to contain SCP-024. Upon entering SCP-024, visitors are immediately greeted by an anonymous announcer who communicates via intercom and is able to hear and comprehend the voices of people with SCP-024. The announcer will inform the contestants they are about to take part in a game show in which the winners will have fabulous prizes, but will also want the game of being extremely hazardous and the loser will never leave SCP-024. It is at this point that the announcer presents the choice of whether to stay or leave SCP-024. Contestants who accept will continue to participate in the game will also decline or immediately expelled from SCP-024. Contestants that win the game or decline to participate may never enter SCP-024 again, as entry is denied by an impenetrable invisible barrier. It is then that the contestants are led to the actual game. The style, composition, and appearance of the game always change in every individual playthrough, but the game is always centered around a long, elaborate obstacle course that the contestants must navigate through. The rules also vary. Some playthroughs might only allow a single winner, while others encourage the creation of teams to win the game. More often than not, the obstacles seen in these games range from extremely benign to extremely hazardous in life, banning the contestants against attempting to negotiate the course. The announcer will continuously update their status and actively participate in the game, often giving advice, conversing with contestants, and adding new rules to the game. Progressive, the obstacle becomes significantly more dangerous and difficult to overcome, and it is not surprising to have the entire pool of contestants succumb to the rigors of the obstacle course. If such an event happens, the announcer will express sadness at the lack of a winner, and SCP-024 will shut down, resetting only when a new batch of contestants enter. Any attempt to break the rules, such as assaulting other contestants and deliberately bypassing obstacles met by extreme violence, the announcer will call out the offending contestant, who will be quickly and forcefully ejected from the course by studio guardians. The studio guardians will immediately materialize when SCP-024 when called upon by the announcer and disappear when not needed. The contestant will never be seen again. When a winner is declared, she will receive a random grand prize. Any contestant that has survived the course but failed to win are immediately declared losers by the announcer. The lights switch off and the winner will immediately appear outside of SCP-024 with his/her prize. Whole losers completely disappear. However, the most mysterious aspect of SCP-024 is that after every game, VHS tape or DVD will appear in the mailbox outside of SCP-024's main entrance. This recording is a complete record of the entire game previous played, even though winners have claimed that they have never seen any cameras or recording devices inside SCP-024. Also, more strangely, a live studio audience can be seen in the background cheering on the contestants. Again, winners have claimed not to see a live studio audience while inside SCP-024. Addendum 1. So far, the list of grand prizes awarded to winners has included, but is not limited to, cash prizes, electronics, various consumer goods, cars, collectibles, full-paid vacations to various countries. They expunge close examination of these prizes to confirm that they are completely genuine and possess no unusual abilities or characteristics whatsoever. There appears to be no consistent pattern for what the prizes will be. Addendum 2. In an attempt to track whether the loser's location, a GPS locator beacons command on subjects D124 through D135 when group D245 was sent into SCP-024. When the losers were taken away, all signals from the beacons were lost. Whether this was because the beacons were destroyed or because the losers were taken to an area that cannot be located via GPS is currently unknown. Addendum 3. The announcer living with SCP-024 appears to be sentient and aware of events that take place outside of the comm, and during the test of group D523, which consisted only of Dr. Redacted and the announcer, instead engaged in a conversation with Dr. Redacted. Analysis of the conversations have shown that the majority of subjects are centered around pop culture and information distributed through television, implying that SCP-024 is somehow able to access and interpret television signals, cutting all power and signal lines as well as removing any potential wireless receiving equipment. SCP-024 does not affect SCP-024 in any way. When it became clear that no other contestants would participate, the announcer kindly asked Dr. Redacted to leave SCP-024 and suggested he return with more contestants. Addendum 4. The studio guardians that the announcer uses to enforce the rules vary in appearance every game, just like the course. If they appear, the guardians will be dressed in the matches with the theme of the obstacle course. The only common attributes all guardians share with the possession of humanoid appearance abilities. Some may appear disappeared, consuming hands and face concealing masks or headgear. However, winners have claimed that the guardians have no apparent shape or form inside SCP-024, instead appearing as deep, shadowy figures that engulf the offender. Really interesting SCP. Oh, right. I'm gonna have a drink. And 025, let's go. Item number, SCP-025, object called Safe, Stockholm Containment Procedures. SCP-025 is only to be opened during tests. The answer to the room which SCP-025 is stored, entry codes are to be given only to authorized research and security personnel. No other containment protocols require description. SCP-025 is a wooden wardrobe measuring 0.97 meters by 0.62 meters by 1.95 meters, full of clothing dating from a number of time periods. Articles contained within the shack collectively named SCP-025-1 match with styles of decades from the 1920s to the present. The approach from each time varies with regard to style. For example, a polyester striped shirt and a pair of charcoal suit pants both correspond with the general style of the 1970s. The only unifying aspect of every article containing SCP-025 is that each one is in poor condition. Both of these are much of the collection and tears and runs are not on common. When any item from SCP-025 is put on the wearer as observed, so either die or suffer an injury within 24 hours, the cause of death or injury in these instances invariably linked to the aforementioned flaws in the clothing, but only ever appears to be an unrelated incident. Wearing a glove with a fingertip cut off may result in the loss of the fingertip through a simple kitchen accident, like chopping on. And suddenly, a subject wearing a poncho with a sleeve missing will somehow cause the loss of the uncovered arm via an attack by a wild animal or a vehicular incident that necessitates the amputation of the limb. And placing a sealed and furnishing clothing while wearing an item from the chest, the wearer rides a seemingly spontaneously contract flesh-eating disease that begins in the areas not covered by the clothing or suffer the failure of an organ located beneath an infection in the articles. Diseases arising from such instances may or may not be contagious. No study has been successfully undertaken due to the speed at which the strains observed run their course. Recommended that if possible, samples of disease be taken to the lab for possible weaponization. Following is an abridged testing log of SCP-025, though more thorough testing will accompany the declassification of the document in its entirety. Tactical SCP-025 Section 1. Subject D778, a 42-year-old white male, article 1940 white tuxedo, infection, torn semen, left shoulder. Test results. Subject was allowed to run 3 of the halls under agent redacted supervision. For approximately 45 minutes, nothing eventful occurred. However, redacted security tapes and eyewitnesses indicate that D778 appeared to wish an attempt at attacking Agent Redacted. He in turn overcame the subject with the knife, causing an inch-deep gash in SCP-778's in D778's shoulder, precisely at the point where the tuxedo's seam was ripped. Test halted. Subject later terminated. Subject D69, 26-year-old white male, Article 2004 Boston Red Sox baseball cap, imperfection, missing size adjuster and back of cap logo in front partially removed. As a result, placed in a sealed room with the subject was a table on which there were loaded Derecho Baby Eagle 9mm handgun, a grill lighter and a hat. D69 he chose to wear the cap backwards for the test. Potential effect of the decision on the outcome of the test run down. Subject expressed didn't stuff any of the objects on the table for several hours, food and water were provided as necessary. After 4 hours of general inactivity, subject picked up the handgun and examined it while holding it at roughly eye level. The weapon discharged into D690's forehead, where the size adjustment band would have been around next to the subject near the part of the hat with the missing part of the logo. Subject D976, a 22-year-old white male, D77, a 23-year-old white male. Article began the sweater vest dating from 1973. Imperfections. Article seems to have been partially inlaid on several large holes in the front of the sweater. Test results. D736 was asked by researching staff to wear the sweater vest, where he did under duress. D77 was given a loaded handgun out of sight of the other test participant and instructed to, on a given signal, fire all 6 shots in the direction of D736. After doing so, it was noted that every shot fired passed through one of the holes in the sweater vest, leaving the clothing intact and killing D736. Firearm retrieved. Surviving subject transported back to quarters. Subject D77, a 23-year-old white male, article sweater vest from above trial. Imperfection, same as mentioned. Test results. D771 was this time placed in an empty room, dimensions 15 meters by 15 meters by 15 meters. Only objects in the incorrigible lights overhead. Subject initially complained of boredom, then lay on its back and went to sleep. After 2 hours and 14 minutes, 2 of the fluorescent light tubes in the ceiling suddenly dislodged and fell. Both landed squarely on holes in the sweater, shattering on impact. One of the tubes broke into jagged pieces, which impaled D771 in several areas, but only again through gaps already present in the sweater vest. Subject's vitals persisted for another 6 minutes, then ceased. Further testing locations will be selected to minimize possible damage to the surrounding area. Subject, Dr. Redacted, unknown and unplanned experiment, and unidentified individual Latin article from SCP-025 on Dr. Redacted's desk looked similar to an item of his own clothing. Any information about the same as an animal, the perpetrator of same should be reported immediately to senior staff. Article lightweight staff, large number of colour imperfections, heavily pulled seam caused scarf to be considerably shorter and tighter The test result accordance was initially Dr. Redacted wearing the item from SCP-025 was en route to the enclosure of SCP redaction for routine testing. However, he diverged from his intended path and began an interaction which was an entirely separate wing of the facility. Subject then encountered the enclosure of SCP-173 without gathering accompaniment or following safety procedures and upon hearing the door closing blinked. Cause of death listed as strangulation resulting from a crushed windpipe. Subject D802, a 30-year-old Hispanic female. Article 1980s slash non-style white shirt infections right shoulder and left sleeve completely cut off, entire bottom hem shredded. Test results, data expunged, all present was infected, then quarantined, and data expunged. All further tests involving 1980 fashion have been postponed indefinitely due to the expenditures and safety hazards presented by the aforementioned experiment. For cleanup estimated taken an additional redacted week. Further testing authorized. Results now awaiting declassification. These are some long SCP articles that we're getting. Right, now this looks like a nice SCP. Item number SCP-026, object class useful, special containment procedure. SCP-026 is to remain securely locked and boarded up at all times when there is no research ongoing. Alarms are set to alert the Foundation in case of entry by civilians or other agencies. Description: SCP-026 is a 3-story public building built and redacted. It has 2 wings connected to the central layout. It was declared condemned and redacted after it was found the floor plan didn't match up to the building's blueprint. CNC log 026-01. It came to the Foundation's attention after several disappearances in the area were linked to visits to the abandoned building. Edit C-Note 026-A. There was considerable graffiti on the interior wall of the school. Most appear the typical, including gang signs, names, and street. However, the graffiti phrase and reappears strange in location, writing on chalkboard and bulletin boards, changing in a similar fashion. Subjects typically found range from standard school subjects, mathematics, literature, biology, to more esoteric subjects such as quantum entanglement, redacted and eugenic. Cornery reported one board detailing information about SCP redaction, but photographic evidence showed only a blank statement. C-Note 026-B. The phrase "the children used to sing" has appeared multiple times in various places throughout the building, but there is currently no explanation for its significance. A number of unconscious subjects have been found in the building, mostly of high school age, ranging from 12 to 18. They are dressed in accordance to the school's dress code, circle redacted. Several have been identified as former students or faculty of the school who disappeared after the school shut down, in at least one case more than 10 years after the closure. It's currently unknown how they were transported back into SCP-026, C-026-C. All attempts to wake the subjects while inside the building have failed, one being removed from the grounds of SCP-026. The subjects wake up abruptly. They experience a period of confusion before dying from extremely rapid dehydration, followed by advanced decomposition. No useful intelligence has been recovered from the subjects to date. The inability to wake subjects extends to those who fall asleep on the grounds of SCP-026. Though the rapid dehydration only seems to affect those who have been found on the grounds of the school's incident. Report 026-12. Note 026-A. Robotic explanation and video feeds have shown the apparent spatial anomaly caused by changes in the perception of the viewers rather than the actual spatial phenomena. For this reason, SCP-026 does not require the expertise of Mobile Task Force Row 8 and roadside technical at this time. Update further explanation have shown that some spatial phenomena do occur. See the exploration log for more details. Note 026-B. The contents of notepads, books, and pieces of paper have been observed to disappear only to reappear on surfaces within SCP-026. New writings have appeared mostly from graffiti or textbooks, causing to be exercised in bringing in documents onto the grounds of SCP-026. Note 026-C. Several Class D personnel exposed to SCP-026 have disappeared from Foundation control only to reappear inside the anomalous building. Subjects in question have previously complained of brain identical to those experienced by Agent Malik. Updates the interview was 026-08. Incident report 026-12. During a routine security check of SCP-026, Agent Malik was found unconscious by his partner Agent Jones on the main foyer. Initial attempts at rousing Agent Malik were ineffective, so he was moved for transportation to site redacted. Upon leaving the grounds of SCP-026, he woke abruptly in a state of agitation. When questioned, he revealed that he had been dreaming in a classroom setting. This remains consistent throughout all subjects who have fallen asleep within the grounds of SCP-026. Item number SCP-027 Object Class U Special Containment Procedures. The holds of SCP-027 currently subject 027-02 is to be kept in a 5 meter by 5 meter containment cell with a grated raised floor connected to a strong vacuum system. All creatures removed from the subject containment cell to be incinerated, except for a small portion to be diverted for analysis and necropsy. The cell is to be cleaned and inspected for structural damage daily. A subject with 027-02 must be monitored by at least 2 personnel at all times. Any unusual behaviour or vital signs on the part of the subject or the appearance of any unusual species on the subject vicinity must immediately be reported to level 4 personnel. Security personnel assigned to SCP-027 must be inoculated against all known airborne animal-borne pathogens and must be armed with tranquilizer guns with standing orders to subdue the subject if the need arises. Until SCP-027 is better understood, no personnel at level 4 clearance or higher should approach within 200 meters of the subject. Description: SCP-027 appears to be a phenomenon of unknown source that seems tied to one human subject, currently 027-02 at Earth time. As host to SCP-027, subject 027-02 is constantly surrounded by swarming vermin that run with slow location. The subject does not appear able to assert control of these creatures in any way and is in fact prone to occasional attacks from feral specimens. These creatures have also been known to attack personnel who approach too closely wherever the subject goes. An initial swarm of flying insects such as gnats and flies will start to form a cloud around them, usually within 2 to 3 minutes. Shortly thereafter, crawling animals including mice, cockroaches, worms, spiders, sponge mice, and rats will begin to appear. The longer the subject remains in a location, the more vermin will gather. When the subject leaves a location, some of these creatures will follow, but most will disperse. SCP-027 has been known to transfer between host swarms upon the deaths of the first known host subject 027-01. See appendix for more information. Since SCP-027 could likely repeat this feat upon the death of subject 027-02, all high-value personnel should be kept far away from the current host until more about SCP-027 is understood. SCP-027 is also likely transferred between hosts and unknown number of times at more containment. Research into potential previous hosts commenced with preliminary evidence suggesting that SCP-027 may have existed for at least redacted years. It is not yet known how SCP-027 chooses to attack animals, or even what SCP-027 exactly is. The previous host never expressed having any sort of communication with the separate conscious entity. Analysis of the current host has been inconclusive at best. Appendix 1. Timeline of significant events. 04 redacted, 1990 redacted. This subject 027-01 is discovered in an abandoned warehouse outside redacted that had been completely overrun by rats, cockroaches, and other vermin, and is contained and catalogued as SCP-027. The subject is described as a coal-skinned male and is late 30s of average height with gaunt, filthy, and covered in bites and scratches. The subject also shows symptoms of degrading mental health, evidence of heavy use of alcohol and illicit drugs, and signs of prolonged sleep deprivation. 10/redacted/2000 redacted. Subject expires. Autopsy showed more than 70% of the subject's body data explored a colony of rats nesting in the subject's abdomen for at least a redacted generation. 10/redacted/2000 redacted. Between 140 and 150 hours after the subject's death, security officer redacted F redacted report being awoken by breathing problems due to a large house fly having crawled up his nose, later shown to have flame. Subsequent observations have led to categorization of officer redacted as subject 07027-2. The original host is reclassified as subject 027-01 and SCP-027 is redefined. Data expunged. Appendix 2 transcripts of interview 027-20. When the following interview was conducted on 10/redacted/2000 redacted shortly after the subject 027-02 was identified and transferred to the containment cell that housed subject 027-01. Dr. Jensen, good morning, Officer Redacted. How are you feeling? Subject 027-02, scared, confused, mostly scared though. J, understandable. S, and itchy. I feel like I need to shower all the damn time, all the time. J, but what about inside? Do you feel anything different inside you, like a presence? S, thinks, scratches his head. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think I do. I haven't really noticed anything like that. J, you haven't felt anything different since the original host died, beside the itching? S, no, I can't say I have. J, what about any sort of voices or compulsions? S, agitated. No, I haven't felt anything except bugs crawling all over me. I feel dirty and scared. And Doc, what about my family? You gotta get this thing out of me so that I can see them again. J, of course. We're doing everything we can to get 027 out of you. God, I'm sorry. Redacted. No, shortly after this interview took place, Dr. James, one of several other members of the research team, for SCP-027 were transferred to the SCP-1772 project. Oh! SCP-028! Yay, let me just have a drink. Item number SCP-028 object class safe, so all containment procedures. No special means of needs to contain at this time, as SCP-028 is not shown any hidden site, position, or shape during the entire period of its containment, but access must be restricted. Currently, SCP-028 is contained on site redact, because SCP-028 is not transportable by any known means. SCP-028 is filled in a 6x6x3 meter 20 by 20 by 10 foot concrete room with a single door with 2 armed personnel stationed outside. Only authorized personnel to be allowed exposure to SCP-028, and extreme care must be taken at all times, or SCP-028 is itself harmless. The effect can be very damaging to the unprepared. Description: SCP-028 is located in an abandoned storage yard outside of a copper mine in northern Michigan. SCP-028 has no detectable physical presence of any kind, but its effect occurred in the 2.1 meter 7 foot cube round what is commonly held as the centre of SCP-028. All forms of scanning and testing in the area of SCP-028 have shown no abnormal readings. Adding or removing objects or attempting to remove dirt from under SCP-028 has had no effect in altering the size or shape of SCP-028's area or effect, nor the overall quality of the effect. Subjects entering SCP-028 are within 3 to 6 seconds struck by total and complete knowledge of the subject. The knowledge is thus far completely random, both size and usefulness, and sometimes goes unnoticed for extended periods of time. More profound knowledge generally has a stronger effect, with some cases expunged. See document EL-028-1125. This effect can be experienced multiple times by exiting and re-entering SCP-028, resulting in increasingly strong migraines and dizziness after 2 exposures. SCP-028 came to the Foundation's attention after research into news reports of a local miner who had submitted a design for a cold fusion reactor to the US Patent Office. Mr. Redacted reported that it just came to me like a bolt out of the blue. Clean subject was surprised contained after the discovery of SCP-028 and the reactor designs implemented in the containment of SCP-1995. Subsequent testing of SCP-028 has yielded mixed results. Document EL-028-1114. Partial information retrieval log for 15 redacted. Notable knowledge is perfect. Total in EDTIC. Every phone book entry in New York City in 1998. How to redesign the internal combustion engine to run with human blood using only pre-existing parts. Note: full redesign takes 4 hours and runs at higher efficiency than gasoline. Location of keys for a vehicle saver. The proper method of care for a mole rat colony. Origin and history of 12 SCP objects. Note: the main expunged. Family history of the Black Thumb family, located in London, England. Geological structure of the earth beneath Greenland, including several unknown caves, and expunged. Document EL-028-1125 log. E112. Subject D1182 exposed to subject 028. Subject began crying out into fetal position, showing signs of high distress, unresponsive to questioning and outside stimulus for several days. Lapsed into catatonia shortly after saying that this is not life. Subject passed into a coma and died shortly thereafter. COD was attributed to shock. E127 agent redacted, accidentally exposed to SCP-028. Agent showed signs of sudden surprise and bemusement. When questioned, agent requested a moment to gather my thoughts. Please, after several seconds, agent laughed, shook his head, and removed his service pistol from its holster. Agent then shot and wounded Dr. Redacted and killed agents redacted and redacted before being restrained. Post-subsequent interrogation revealed that Agent Redacted had extensive knowledge of classified SCP Foundation archives and several SCP objects he had not been previously exposed to, including SCP-2669. Any personnel found to have entered SCP-028's area or effects are to be detained indefinitely. Document EL-028-1128 log. Experiment 189. Subject D843. Completely exposed to SCP-028 redacted to 3/19/1146. Examination of subject revealed normal respiratory reactions. Redacted 0/3/19/1337. Questioning revealed subject had learned to recycle the carbon dioxide inside his body. Redacted 0/3/19/1721. Repeated attempts to teach skill to other DCOS personnel failed. Redacted 0 to 3, 24, 12, 11, subject terminated. Redacted 07, 18, 15, 03, autopsy reveals no abnormal organ functions, formations. Redacted 07, 18, 1837, researchers no doctor redacted seriously how the expletive did he do that. That was nice SCP, I like it. Oh my, this looks like it'll be a painful SCP to read. I can just see it before, so I'm gonna have a drink before. Item number SCP-029, object class, keys critical containment, which means SCP-029 is being incarcerated in class 5 containment. So she is to be allowed access to nothing of the physical nature. A containment cell is to be placed behind a triple L lock to avoid her escape hazard. Incident 029-34A SCP-029 is no longer to be fed if she does not appear to need sustenance to survive. There are to be 3 guards on duty at all times on stand, 2 guards on monitoring duty. Floodlights have been installed in the walls of the containment chamber and have to be on at all times. Once a month, the chamber is to be cleaned and checked for defects. Under absolutely no circumstances are any men to encounter SCP-029 in any manner. Any males who do encounter SCP-029 to be held under Class 3 detention for interviewing for termination. SCP-029 requested a bed, denied a blanket, denied books, denied clothes, denied. This is ridiculous. The girl can't even have clothes. We're not animals. Let her cover herself. Dr. Erica Boding. Dr. Boding, you have permission to deliver clothes to SCP-029. Dr. White. As an incident 029-53, anyone who has potential access to SCP-029 is required to first watch surveillance tape 029 Bodine as a reminder of threats involved in working with SCP items and SCP-029 in particular. A description. SCP-029 appears to be a pubescent female of Asiatic Indian descent. She appears to suffer from myopia universal. With over 80% of her pigmentation is a true black, while the rest of her skin has a complete lack of melanin to the point of albinism. Her eyes are also dark black in colour. SCP-029 has severe homicidal tendencies and has displayed a remarkable ability to use any item as a weapon. However, she has a severe convulsion against shedding blood, preferring instead to strangle her victims. SCP-029 has demonstrated dexterity and physical reaction 4 times as fast as the average human. SCP-029 has also displayed extensive resistance for damage of all forms. Both of these extra human abilities are greatly hampered in the presence of a bright or red light, natural or artificial. In addition, any males who come within the presence of SCP-029 in areas defined by a current perception find themselves pliant to a will. Such males become willing to kill or even die for SCP-029. SCP-029 refers to herself as Redacted, which roughly translates to Daughter of Darkness, Daughter of Shadows, or Daughter of Night. Interviews with SCP-029 have proven difficult due to SCP-029's constant attempts to kill or convert all who speak with her. Over her years of captivity, the black patches on her skin have increasing size. SCP-029's first walk to detention by an agent working in rural India. An attempt on his life led him to a small cult of men who claimed to be thuggies in service to the law. In several weeks of investigation proved they believed the world to be in the last years of the Kali Yuga, by sacrificing 1 million lives to the Daughter of Darkness, they could raise their goddess and end the world. They also believed that only sacrifices performed through strangulation and added to this tally. Events led the agent to their mountain fortress where he discovered SCP-029. After the loss of said agent, data expunged attended our acquisition of SCP-029. Addendum: 7 years after capture, SCP-029 began showing enormous growth in her black pigmentation. When questions about it, she claimed her followers were on the move. Once more investigation led us to concentration of so-called thuggies that had escaped our initial fray. After discovering that all her followers were there for one of their holy days, a tactical airstrike was called. Then when the first bomb dropped, SCP-029 awoke from us, screaming screaming at the top of our lungs. SCP-029 continued to scream for the next 4 hours, ranting and raving that we were killing her people. Since that event, the growth of black pigmentation has stopped completely. Also, since that event, SCP-029 has redoubled her efforts to escape. SCP-2820 has been proposed as a possible method of neutralization should the situation worsen. With that, I'm gonna I need to refill my drink, so I'm gonna end here.